Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. For today,
Fourth edition.
we're getting closer to 4th edition.
I want it.
But today we thought we'd take a look at WYSIWIG.
WYSIWIG!
So, Drake, what is WYSIWIG?
What you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. It makes a fine little acronym, WYSIWIG, but what does that mean for war games?
If I have a Liberator with dual weapons, he is a Liberator with dual weapons.
Okay.
On his weapon profile.
Yeah, so it means especially models that can carry a lot of different weapons. Whatever it's actually built with,
is what you get.
That's what it is in the game, right? So if you've got the dual hammers, you can't say, oh, I'm going to use the shield profile. No, got dual hammers, it's going to be dual hammers.
So dumb.
And if he's got a flamethrower, you can't say, oh, no, this guy's got the
plasma gun.
It's like, no, it's got that with a flamethrower, it's going to be the flamethrower. And we thought we'd talk about whether that's a good idea. It seems to sort of be a standard out there, and I guess I can sort of see why. Let's talk about the good first. Because I think we both are not super big fans of WYSIWIG.
We're not.
So let's talk about the good. What is the good of WYSIWIG?
There's no confusion.
Yes. So I think especially when you're coming to, play with people you don't know, yes. Right? You're just at the store, you're at your hobby group, and you're just getting a pipka game with somebody who has their army, right? That way there's no confusion. Everybody knows, okay, yes, that's the guy with the sword. Or, oh, that's the guy with the spear, right? Everybody knows what you have, and so that way you're not confused. Because otherwise somebody might tell you, oh, you build up a charge to get this guy, and they're like, oh, no, actually, I know I built him with a spear, but that guy's actually got the sword.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I wouldn't have done that if I known he didn't have the spear. I was scared of the spear, right? So then it eliminates that. What else?
That's basically it.
I can think of one other one.
That's the only thing it's good for.
I can think of one other one. And that is particularly in a tournament setting where the different weapon options cost points. So that's not super true for AOS, right?
They cost points in 40K?
Not in 10th, but they used to.
That's malarkey.
But like Middle-earth strategy battles, the weapons cost points.
Yeah, you're right, and that's silly.
And so there's other games that do it that way. And in that case, you might bring your list of all bolters, and that's 2,000 points. But then you tell all your players, oh, yeah, I think bolters are cool, but they're all plasma pistols. But now if they were all plasma pistols, they would all be like 3 points more. Now you're over 2,000 points.
Yeah.
Right?
It's cheating.
Yeah, it's cheaty, right? So in order to make sure there's none of that shenanigans going on, at a tournament, I could see requiring people
to do WYSIWIG.
To do, bring what you have, right? It's a standard, so we're all doing the same thing. I get that. With those two sort of cases out of the way,
for all the bad,
I think WYSIWIG is pretty bad. I think it's bad for the hobby. I think it's bad for the game. I think it's a net bad.
Yeah.
Right. There are good things. There are defenders of WYSIWIG that's the only way to play because that's how it's most immersive or whatever. Okay, I think there are other good things to it probably.
Yeah.
But when you look at it on balance, I think it is a net negative. So Drake, what don't you like about it?
I don't like that unless you take the time to magnetize your models.
Mm-hmm.
Once you build it, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, Games Workshop models are not cheap.
No.
They're not.
They're not.
And so to say to somebody, oh yeah, if you build it with swords, then that's it. You can't use it for anything else. So when the rules change and suddenly you wish you built them with spears, too bad. Better go buy it again. Just so you can change your weapon options. No thanks. No, that's not cool.
Yeah, no.
So I think that, the way that it artificially limits you with the rules in the game, you should be allowed to build your model basically whatever you think is cool and what looks good on the table and what you are happy with the aesthetics of. And then the weapon option, the rules change. And that's the thing with a lot of models, right? You should love the model because the rules are going to change, right? They call it the rule of cool, right?
Yeah.
Love the model. But when the rules change so dramatically where your
weapon option gets nerfed.
Where your cool model suddenly is super ineffective.
And
it doesn't matter how rule of cool you are, it's pretty lame to bring a bunch of guys that just get killed right away, right?
Yeah, or what could happen is the weapon option gets removed.
Oh, yeah, that could happen too, right?
Then you have useless models.
For example, Liberators used to be you can have double hammers instead of a hammer and shield. But it's been getting harder, I think, to get liberators that build that way. And when they redo the War Scrolls, maybe that's not an option anymore.
And then
there used to be a different kind of
Vanquisher.
Who's the guy, the Night Haunt Ghost that reses people?
The Guardian.
Yeah, the Guardian of Souls.
He has to have a mace instead of a stick.
Yes. So the one that you can get has the Chill Dagger.
Yes.
But there used to be one. Maybe it was a one-off one. Maybe I don't know. He was out before we really started playing. But he had a malefic hammer or something like that.
Yeah.
And all through 2.0, they had the weapon profile there for malefic hammer. And then when 3.0 came in,
it's gone.
It's gone. That guy's gone. So if you had that version, if you liked that one better than the Chill Dagger, now I guess you're WYSIWIG'd out.
Yeah, I guess you lose that model.
Yeah, you lose the whole model because you have the wrong weapon option.
Which is not cool.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty bad. Also, I feel like, because a lot of the models, all of the models are quite expensive.
Yes.
You should be allowed.
At least in dollars.
Yeah, in dollars, for sure. That's for sure. But you should be allowed to sort of experiment with things, right? So we've played games before where we don't have Ironjaw's brutes, right? We don't have brutes yet, but it's on the same base size. They're all big, so we've just been using ogre bodies,
and they work
to act as brutes. So, and that lets us, one, play in a game with something new, but also two, decide whether we want brutes, right? Because if we play them and it's like, oh no, brutes are not nearly as good as I wanted.
I'm not sure if I want brutes anymore.
Yeah, you're like, they weren't quite. They didn't lean into the style that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, well, now I know, right? I didn't spend a bunch of money on brutes.
For example, one of the main reasons I do it is because I thought when I read the War Scroll, it said models with 1, 2, or 3 health can't contest. And models with 4 and up, I get damage on, but it's only models with 1 health. They can't contest. And so now it's not as good because not a lot of armies have...
It seems like more and more are getting 2 health guys, right? The Saurus went up to 2 health. Chaos Warriors went up to 2 health.
So it basically work only against Soulblight.
No, I mean, there's lots of armies that still have 1 health. Skaven has 1 health. Soulblight has lots of 1 health guys. There's still a lot. Skinks even have 1 health. There's still a lot out there, but
it's not as good.
It's decreasing for sure. It's decreasing. So yeah, but I think that if you are playing a game with some friends, it's your usual group. You've got a friend that you play with. You're just in the garage. You're in the basement, rolling some dice.
Garage.
Then you can just tell your friend, "Oh, I want to try this thing out." And if your friend says, "Oh no, you didn't build that model. You can't. No, WYSIWIG or nothing." That's ridiculous, right? Yeah, I think that the insistence on WYSIWIG
is silly.
It's silly, especially in wargaming, where part of the hobby is how you kit bash stuff together, or how you make your own rules, or how, just as an example, sometimes we have a river piece that we put out on the battlefield.
Yeah, we just said you get.
And we said, all right, if you go through it, you get -1
all
move.
movement.
All movement is -1. Charges, pylons, whatever, it's all -1. And it works, right? But that's not a Games Workshop sanctioned rule, right? They didn't build the river. They didn't come up with river rules. We just sort of made it for the fun of our games.
Yep.
And that should be how you play with your models too.
Add an extra tactical element of wanting to go for bridges to ignore.
Sure. But I mean, you should play with your models the same way, right? You should just you and your friend can agree. If you can mod the rules, you can mod the WYSIWIG.
Yeah.
Right?
But burn it.
Burn the WYSIWIG down.
With the flamers.
If you have your friend, if you just are playing a casual game, you can tell your friend, hey, just so you know, at the beginning of the game, you don't want to spring it on them, because that is sort of a jerk move.
That is a jerk move.
Yeah. But at the beginning of the game, you say, oh, these guys right here, this is, I built them with flamers, but, with the rule change, I think they're all going to have plasma guns.
Yeah.
And then that's fine. That's cool. Right? So I think a sort of slavish or dogmatic insistence on WYSIWIG is, I don't know. It seems like it kills fun. It seems like you're putting form over substance, right? Rather than enjoying the game and having a good time with friends, you're layering on some additional rules lawyering that really just doesn't need to be there. It doesn't serve a good purpose.
Is it Is it a Games Workshop sanctioned rule, WYSIWIG?
For their tournaments,
Yes.
I believe so. I believe at the Games Workshop tournament, you have to come in not only with a Games Workshop model, so you can't come in with like some 3D print that's really cool and like, this is my Skaven, even though it's not a GW model. No, you can't do that. But I'm pretty sure most of them do WYSIWIG. And like I said, when it comes to tournaments, there are other reasons. So maybe the balance starts to change a little bit at that tournament level, especially because you're playing with people you've never seen before, right?
It makes sense why you have to use a GW model, though. Because otherwise you could 3D print a teensy-weensy little Skaven.
Well, even if you put them on the right base size, they're like, no other models.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you could 3D print a teensy little Skaven on its base size. But then you wouldn't be able to see the Skaven model. Because if you made, like, for example, if that giant rat dog riding guy is a new model, you can't, like, 3D print him super duper small and be able to say, nah, nope, you can't see him. Can't see him.
Oh, I see, for true line of sight and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, that's true. I never thought of that. I think it's just because they want to sell their models. So if you want to play in our tournament, you got to use our models.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, like I said, in a tournament setting, maybe the consideration is slightly different, especially when you're playing with people you don't know. Maybe that's just like a good base where we can all just decide that's the baseline and then deviate from there as normal. But you should be pretty willing and eager even to deviate. Let people play with their toys.
Yeah.
Let them use the good rules.
They're expensive plastic toys.
Yeah, they're expensive plastic toys. They spent a long time painting. And it really sucks to be like, to have your guys with spears and you've painted them and you've gotten them all lovingly together and you've stored them and you've got everything. And then the rules come out and it's like, oh, nope, sorry, clubs were better. Let me just use the club rules. All right, let me use the rules for clubs.
They're just very long, pointy clubs.
Exactly. I promise I'm going to hit you with the back end of the spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even going to poke you with the pointy part. So, yeah, I think when it comes to WYSIWIG, when you're playing with your friends, when it's all good, you really shouldn't even give it a second thought. And unless you're at a tournament that requires it, I feel like most people should just, I suppose there's a limit, right? There might be a limit, especially if somebody's like, well, it's not exactly WYSIWIG, but I just bought a bunch of bases and I'm bringing those into play.
No.
Well, then it's like, okay, well, now you're really killing the immersion.
What about True Line of Sight?
Yeah, not only that, True Line of Sight, and you're killing the immersion, and it's really hard to remember which guys are which blank bases that have nothing on them, right?
You'd have to tape Liberator.
So there is a limit to it, I suppose. But in general, no one needs to be a stickler for WYSIWIG, I think. Any other WYSIWIGgy thoughts?
Boo, WYSIWIG.
I think it's got a good acronym. I like saying WYSIWIG.
I like saying WYSIWIG, but
that is fun.
Its thing is no.
But hopefully, I'm hopeful that just like 2.0 to 3.0 consolidated a lot of weapon profiles. So it's instead of having roll for the mouth and roll for the claws and roll for the sting, like the buzz flies. Now it's just claws, mouth parts, and sting, one line, right? And so I'm hoping we see more of that. And I would love to see where, especially like battle line troops, guys that aren't special, like heroes and things like that have special weapons, that's a little bit of a different story. But guys that are like your normal basic guys, they all got the basic sword off the forge. No one's got the epic sword of Epic 2. They're not heroes, right? The normal guys, if they all shared profiles of weapons, no matter what thing was on the model, I'd be okay with it. Because I would much rather be able to just use the things I think are coolest without worrying so much about, oh, is this going to bring me the best rules in the game?
Yeah.
Well, maybe by the time this goes up, we'll know if that's true or not.
But we don't.
But we don't at time of recording. All right. Well, let us know what you think about WYSIWIG and whether it's good for the game, bad for the game, good for the hobby, bad for the hobby. Do you insist upon it? Do you think, it's no big deal, people can bring whatever they want? Let us know in the comments below.
Yes.
This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
WYSIWIG!
Thanks so much for watching.